Welcome to Level Up
Andrew.
REI with our guest today, battling through some technical difficulties. My good buddy Josh and his wife Christy Hastings from Sacramento, California. What's going on, guys? We made it through. What's up,
Hi. Just living the dream.
Christy? I think it's awesome that you were able to join us today. Josh and I do fun stuff like this periodically, but it's good to finally have the brains and the boss behind the operation join us today. So before we get too far into this, I've known you for years, but people joining us probably don't. Tell us a little about who you are, where you're from, and good intro.
You start. Ladies first.
Christy Hastings. We are in Roseville, California. We have been, I've been a realtor for 20 plus years, and then we build and flip houses together. I don't know how long we've been doing it though, 10 years?
No. It's 2012.
It's almost 10 years, 12,
That's 12
12 years. Yeah. We have two kids, Blake and Colt, and we're just doing the thing everybody's doing, trying to figure it out.
So you're the agent side of things, right?
I don't do all of our deals, but I do probably half of them, I would say.
Yeah, 40 to 60%, depending on where we're at.
I would say my role in our business is more design and just trying to keep everything organized because I'm the only woman on the team.
Keeping everybody on track.
Try.
We call those the integrators to the visionaries.
Yeah, definitely herding cats.
Oh, rocket fuel. We got to have that. Gosh, how do you fit into all this?
So I've had a knack for real estate my whole life. I remember like being younger and watching all those flip this house shows and going, man, someday I want to do that. And then an opportunity presented itself with one of Christy's clients, and then we kind of never looked back. I sold a property management company that I ran and owned, that I kind of took over from my parents to do this full time. But I sold it back in 2014 so we could do this full time. And we started with, one little cookie cutter, 3-bedroom, 1-bath home, a quick little kitchen and bath flip, all the way up to today. We're building spec homes that we currently have one on the market for right at $3.3 million.
Really? That's awesome, man. So so we're talking from 2012, so about 12 years. So let's go back there. Let's unpack that a little bit to help people know the journey. What was life like before real estate?
Yeah, so before real estate, there was this wonderful time in most of our lives. It was called the 2007-2008 timeframe into 2009. So we were both working I was working in corporate America. Christy was working real estate at the time, but it was new home sales. And when the market crashed, Christy got laid off from her new home sales, sales position, and I got laid off from my what I would call corporate America type job, telecommunications, and kind of had to start over. Lost everything. Short sold the house.
We kind of went from making over 200,000 a year to absolutely no income in a 60-day period. So it was
yeah. I mean, so we've had success and then basically lost everything. We had bought a new house. We got married in 2005, had our first son in 2008. So right at the same time, Christy was actually pregnant when she got laid off. And so we had our first son right when we lost everything. Again, like I said, lost the house. Our car gave the keys to the guy in the tow truck to come pick it up and take it away. Starting completely over from zero in 2008, 2009. That's when I transitioned into real estate at that time. Christy started becoming a resale agent, your traditional sales agent, real estate agent. And then I started working for my parents, making $2,500 a month, being a property manager, essentially, not knowing anything about it, having to learn along the way. I had to go get my real estate license for that. So I got my license, and then just we're just figuring it out like everyone was at the time. Christy found a client who was flipping houses, and he was he's the contractor. He has a money guy. And then there was no woman on the team. So their design was crap. for lack of a better term.
he would agree. He's still our friend.
Yeah. So
But I just helped him kind of pull the houses together, maybe in a little bit of a better way. And then I probably did, I don't know, 15 deals with
Okay.
him. And then he knew we were struggling. He ended up becoming a really good friend of ours, him and his wife. And he just approached us one day and said, "Hey, I went to the seminar. Would you guys be interested in getting into real estate flipping and becoming our partners?" And so we went to the seminar, and Josh was in within like 5 minutes.
So here's the typical situation in our relationship. Like, if I'm in, I'm committed. Like, we're in the car on the way there. I'm like, "Yep, I'm in. Let's go. We'll figure it out." Like, the typical term, jump out of the plane. I'll figure out the parachute on the way down.
I'm not that
Where
person.
Christy's like, "Nope, I'm not even getting in the plane until you confirm there's a parachute. How many people? What's the seating like? Are there stewardesses? Like, what's the situation? How many years has the pilot flown? Like, I want to know everything." So it took her probably until day 2 of
Yeah.
the seminar to be like, "Okay, I'm in."
Even then, I was so scared.
Yeah,
But-
so scared.
To be honest, we didn't have really much to lose. So, I mean, we didn't have anything. So we didn't have anything to lose. This client of ours helped us out get started.
Like, it was so bad that driving, I vividly remember having the conversation driving to the seminar. We have a road in our town, it's called Baseline. It's just this long 2-lane road. And we were driving down this road. We had just dropped our son off at daycare. After that week, her mom had bought us groceries. And we're like, okay, so we're going to lunch. We're going to the seminar. We're going to be there all day. We don't have lunch. So I had to figure out what credit card had enough room on it to buy a sandwich for lunch that day. Like, it was dire times. So
It was fun.
times.
What seminar do you give credit to for your first real estate seminar?
Yeah, for sure. It was Fortune Builders, and they changed our lives. As a whole, the company that provides the education, the information and education they provided, it literally changed our lives.
I really don't think without having a guideline, whatever route that is for someone, like Fortune Builder was for us, they had a great system set up. But if you don't have a guideline like that, it's already rough. It already takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment, but it's going to be 1,000 times worse without some sort of package of how you can navigate this road.
Blueprint type. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
agree with you. And that was in 2012, right?
Correct.
So how long you did property management for your parents? What was that experience like?
If you could envision hell, envision what hell would seem like.
I do have a
That was
high level of respect for property managers for what they make and what they have to go through, because it's not a glamorous life, and you have to work really hard.
Yeah, I mean, basically, bottom line, to be a property manager, you have to be okay with every single time the phone rings or an email comes in, it's terrible. It's
Right.
bad news, right? The shitter's full, the house is on fire, the tenant's moving out, the cops are there, an owner's pissed off because you spent too much of his money. The maintenance guy's there, or as an owner, you have an employee that you have to deal with who the job sucks, so they don't want to show up. So it's just there's never a good call, right? The tenant's not calling you to say, "Hey, I'm so excited to pay my rent," and the owner's not saying, "Hey, you're doing such a great job." Like, those calls just don't exist. So it's always like, "Hey, what's wrong? Why this? Why that? What's wrong with this? Oh, my rent's late. Oh, we got to go serve 3-day notices. Oh, there's an eviction notice. Oh, the cops are there because 2 of your tenants that live in the same unit
Damn, babe,
are fighting
you
each
are
other."
very long-winded.
It's always bad.
There's a lot of emotion there still.
Feel like I just
Yeah.
poked a bear. Maybe
Yeah, I'll take that up.
His face is ready.
Look at this. Jeez,
My therapist and I are going to talk about that later.
you okay?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, everybody, we're gonna move off of the property management. So let's get into the fun stuff. How did you transition out of that? You said you partnered up with a client of yours. What did that look like at the beginning? Sometimes there's people that are pro con of partnerships. How did that
Yeah.
evolve and what that turn into?
So if I had to, I would do it again with the partners that we had, but I do believe, and I still believe to this day, I am not the person for long-term investments with partners. But I think if you can have somebody that you know and you can work with, like I had already worked with our partner, I do think it can be really successful. Ultimately, what kind of happened with our partnership is he wanted to go into commercial. We didn't want to. And then also, and this is again, I can say this because we're still really good friends to this day and we still joke about this, but I have a very type A personality and our partner had a really type A personality, and him and I just kind of constantly butted heads. And he just basically, I think, kind of just had enough of,
Pretty much at that point, had enough of you.
yeah.
So one of the things that made us successful, aside from obviously work ethic, but like in the actual like day-to-day operations, everyone's role was clearly carved out, right? So you know, his wife had a very clear-cut role. He had a very clear-cut role. I had a very clear-cut role, and Christy had a clear-cut role. The where the issues came in, and this there's nothing you can do about it, is when Christy's role is design, contractor's role is finish. That's where I see you can get some headbutting, right? Because you need to know you need to sell it and design it, and he needs to get it done on a timeline, right? So it's like, okay, well, we can't go too fast. We need to make sure we get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed before we just shove it to the finish line. So that's where those lines kind of blurred a little bit, right? So there was a little headbutting at times, but I mean, for the most part, over a 2.5, 3 year span, it was phenomenal. I mean, we were very successful. At the time we split, we had 9 projects actively in the pipeline
That we finished
and
together.
that we finished out after we decided to split. Like we're like, okay, yeah, it was amicable, everything was good. We just knew that it was time, and we were just on different paths.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is that when NorCal was developed?
Exactly. That's when NorCal was launched, November of 2015.
What was that like when you first took that plunge to break off with your partnership? At that point, when we talk about funding and all the resources he had doing it prior to you guys, how did you stack those bricks and turn that into something that NorCal could build on its own?
Yeah, so that's all. The foundation of that is built on my role in the business. So my role was always acquisitions and finding the money. So I knew I can find the deal and find the money. That was my expertise that I built up over the 3 years of doing the business. Because I was at that time, to rewind a little bit, I was working 2 full-time jobs because I had just still had the property management company until late 2014 when I sold it. So I was 2 years basically of 2 full-time jobs. So I knew the work ethic. I knew I could grind. I knew I could do all those things. I knew I could raise the money. I knew I could find the deals, and we had built up a team. So I took the same systems we rolled out when we launched the business. Said, okay, cool. I know what I need to do. Check, here's my checklist of the things I need to do to get the business off the ground. And I know I need to find deals. I can raise the money. Next piece, I need to make sure our contractors come over and they're on board. And of course, they we weren't like, oh, you can't use my contract.
We use the same guys years later. They don't flip or build houses anymore, but for years we still used the same trades, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. I do think that now Josh obviously has a lot of time freedom, a lot more than he did then, but building the business, I mean, it was not out of the norm for him to be working 14 to 16 hours a day. And we had a baby, we had a 4-year-old. So it was just, and we were broke. We were still broke. I mean, we're still struggling up until probably our, I would say 6th or 7th deal sold. We finally had a little bit, a little bit of breathing room and maybe a change where we kind of turned the corner a little bit, but it takes a little bit to get it all rolling and set up. And it's not just, I think it's important to know too, when you see social media posts, people always post their profits, but that's not the real world. There's private lenders, there's carrying costs, there's all these things that you don't really see in the awesome post that people post of their check in the mail. Like you can get a check that's 150 grand, but you might owe $50,000-$60,000 of that. Not that that's not a lot of money, but you get my point. You might owe half that to other people.
I think it's important I'm glad you said that about the growth, the trials, the 15, 16-hour days. And there's times even now where when things happen in your business that you're going to have that, right? You're a business owner. And I think it's very important that people understand the growth phase, right? So when you're going through that and you're working the 15, 16-hour days and you're raising the baby and you got the new wife and you're still trying to make money, I mean, what drove you? Like what kept you, I know it sounds kind of cliche to say, what's your why? but like what kept you going through all that when you could have easily just turned a corner or went and got a job, tapped out, and did whatever else you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I had worked corporate America, so I knew, I had moved up the chain. I became into a leadership management type role, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to clock in and clock out. I don't want to go to someone and I have to show up at 8 a.m. and stay there till 5 p.m. on their time clock.
I think it's important. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's important when people get into this business to realize that you're kind of exchanging a time card for probably more hours, but maybe you have more flexibility and ownership of those hours. So it's not for everybody. There are people that are perfectly happy clocking in and clocking out that would hate being in this business. And then there's people that love having a little bit of flexibility to do what they want, but maybe you do work more hours.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, like I mean, the why for me is the wife and kids, right? So Christy doesn't have to work anymore. So my kids can do whatever their dreams are. I can help them achieve their dreams to, whether that's go on to college and play sports, or whether that's, get out of school and go into a trade, whatever their dreams are, me being there, be able to facilitate and be there for it. In the beginning, luckily, I mean, fortunate when we restarted, the kids were really young. But fast forward like into today, I mean, we have sports 8 nights a week. Like literally, it feels like we have sports 8 nights a week, and I'm like, okay, but like I wanted to be able to attend all those things and be able to coach my son's sports and coach for both of my sons at different times.
There are a lot of nights, like last night, Colt started baseball at 7:30, and Josh was able to get him to warm-ups, but I was working literally until 5 minutes before the game started, and I rushed over there. And then last week, Cole had some game, and Josh came home after, and like most people are getting ready for bed and going to bed, but Josh had things he had to finish. So you get out the computer, you do the things. You were able to show up for what you want to show up for, whatever that is, if it's your kids or whatever. But then you have to be okay with, again, just doing that work at times when not a lot of people are okay with it.
Yeah, like if I know I have a crazy day, sometimes I'll come into the office at 6 a.m. and work 6 to 9 when everyone's not, working. So I'll come in, I knock out 3 hours, and those 3 hours are typically almost 6 hours of work because you're so productive with no distractions. So like you can get so much done in those off times. But if you have a job, you're scheduled to be there at 9. Like you can't, you just show up at 9. Like you're not able to go, work from 6 to 9 in the morning and then maybe 9 to midnight. So that's 6 hours in my day when I had all of my middle of my day to do the things that I needed to do.
Like take me to lunch.
Exactly.
We used to say, create your lifestyle by design, right?
Yep.
You can own your day. I think that's awesome, man. And I think that's good for people to hear, is that it's a real thing. It's not just cliche. It is, you really can do that, but it takes hard work, and it takes time, and it takes a team. Talk about that. I know you're not making all this go and building $3 million houses on your own. What's your team look like?
Yeah, I mean, as for starters, for team, it's not just in your business, it's also outside your business. So everyone thinks of your team as your employees. We actually only have one employee. It's like my right-hand man, Kevin, handles a lot of he's now acquisitions, and he handles a lot of the running around out in the field type stuff. But as far as employees go, it's just myself and Kevin. That's it. Christy is technically, I consider her a consultant because she's not actual.
I also don't make money from him, so I don't know why he would call me that. But
What? Well, you do. She's an unpaid consultant. I mean, no, you can be a consultant without getting paid. But I mean, honestly, that's
I'm cheap labor.
Yes, that's our team. Like our actual employees is just myself and Kevin. And I say myself because I'm a W-2 employee for my business. We can have a whole another topic, whole another call about what that means and dive down that road later. But outside the team, I mean, it's your contractors, and it's plumber, HVAC, electrician, the landscaper, the roofer, like all those things.
I will say that finding those trades is critical because there's so many bad contractors and labor workers out there that you don't want to go into a new flip that you've never done before with all brand new people that you have no word of mouth that they've done a great job for them. I think that's a big lesson that I think a lot of people get into this business. They think, oh yeah, this guy's great. He's my contractor. He does great work. No, you need to hear from somebody that he's done great work for them, great plumber, all those things. Just winging it into one full job is 90% of the time going to give you a crappy finished product.
How do you go
Yeah.
about vetting your contractors? I know share with the people how you go about. I know you guys just don't go and hire anybody. How do you guys find your individual contractors over the years?
I mean, honestly, all of our stuff has mostly been, I mean, word of mouth, because you end up networking with people in this business, and I want to be able to see jobs they've done. So it's checking out their job, their work ethic, their jobs from other contractors that they've worked with, and you know, an interview process, right? It's just like you would interview someone for a job. You interview them as a contractor. You know, is their car a wreck when they show up? Do they open the door and, you know, paint spilling out, or tools are flying out of the car? You know, all the things that you would think about interviewing an employee, or interviewing, you know, someone for a job, you interview same way as a contractor.
And I think it's important to note that the cheapest person is not always the best person, but the most expensive person in this trade is never going to be the best person either. You're never going to make any money. So it's just a fine line of finding somebody that can do quality work and give you a great product at the end of the day without the massive cost.
The major overhead. Yeah, I think that's awesome. We talk about the importance of networking. Some people in this industry, I've noticed over the years, that they look at like competition, right? You guys network with other investors, real estate professionals, other realtors, other real estate professionals out there?
Both. Yeah, Christy in her real estate business. I mean,
It's actually funny, but I was just getting Botox recently, and my girl that does it, it's all natural. My girl that does it, she asked me, she was like, you know, you seem to like be friends with a lot of realtors. Don't you ever get hung up on competition or anything like that? And I'm like, no, I don't. I literally believe that if you're supposed to get a listing or a deal, it will be your deal. And if it's not, then it wasn't meant for you. For whatever reason, it wasn't meant for you. And that's something that Josh and I have kind of learned the hard way too. Deals that we've done really well on have been fairly easy to acquire. Meaning, like, if you have more, there's always going to be speed bumps, right? Like, you're always going to have, that's this business. That's just the way it goes. But if you have, let's say, more than, I would say, 7 speed bumps before you acquire a property, that is probably somebody telling you that that one is not for you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean I vividly remember one of the deals you're talking about. It's like, okay, why is this so hard? I mean, we're so close. It looks so good on paper, and we lost $60,000 on that deal. Like, I know one of the deals you're talking about. Like, it just happens.
You have to pay attention to that. So, I mean, work hard, but pay attention to the signs of if it's worth it, if it's for you or not right now.
Right, I agree. So what let's talk about your deal flow. What do you got? I know your business has transitioned so much over the past few years. What's your deal flow look like now? Like, what's your niche? What's your honey hole? Where do you like to do deals?
I mean, right now, we in networking with other investors, like people always ask, oh, you know, what are you looking for in a deal? And I'm like, oh, it's simple. Anything that makes money, that's my box. If it makes money, it fits in the box. Yeah. But like right now, what we have like in inventory is we're heavy in spec homes. So spec home is we're buying either a lot or a home, tearing it down, building a house in the hopes to sell it for the end result. We have 3 spec homes. We have a couple lots that we're going to develop into multiple lots. And then we're also starting to transition into doing work for other people. So on a consultant basis. So I have a client that we're going to build their house for them because they've seen our product, and I know I can do it for much cheaper than another company who's going to be the general contractor and charge you and mark it all up. So
that's going to be a build.
Yeah,
we actually, for another client of mine, are doing a heavy addition and remodel. And like I told my client, it's going to be bumpy, the first one. So they know that, and they're good with that because they know that we have a good finished product and we can get it done for a fraction of what most contractors are charging right now. So, you know, I think, again, just our flipping business, we just haven't, not that we're not looking, we are looking all the time and want more flips, but we haven't had any in a while. We've been so focused on new builds. So I think just being able to pivot your business when you see what your strength is right now, which our strength is heavy remodels and new builds right now. So being able to offer that and help other people with that.
Just gives you another arm of your business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're still looking for your regular, what, like you say, boring flip. It just right now in our market, there's not out there. There's a lot of other investors in our market, and we offer all those properties, and we unfortunately we haven't got them lately. But we're fine with going where we we kind of have a little bit of a niche, so we're good with it. I mean, there's nothing like taking a raw piece of dirt on the side of a mountain and then turning it into this amazing home with a view all the way to the coastal mountains. Like it's just like that. Like there's nothing like that feeling.
It's awesome for people to know, because over the years that I've known you alone, you're a well-rounded investor, right? I've seen you wholesale deals, seen you do flips, you have rental properties, you're doing multi-million-dollar new builds. What's your opinion on that? Nowadays, people are really sharing they call themselves a wholesaler, they call themselves a rehabber. I think you and I are in the same page here about being a full-fledged real estate investor, real estate professional.
Yeah, I just call myself a real estate investor because like I'm not kidding. Like I will, if it makes money and it makes sense, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't I do a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home in the not so nice neighborhood of our town when it makes 30 grand? Why wouldn't I go do that project where I'm building like I said, a couple $1 million home in the foothills? It's just, why not do both? If you build a team and
this is my type A personality
Yeah.
coming out, but when you first start, don't get overwhelmed with becoming diverse right in the very beginning, because you don't need to do that. Do one thing at a time. And then when you get really good at that, then I don't want to say you get bored with it, but you're like, okay, what's next for us? What can we grow from here? And I feel like 95% of the people in this business do have that mindset where, okay, I've kind of mastered the art of flipping houses. Now we're going to do additions. And then, okay, we did that pretty well. So now how can we do new builds? And then you just kind of go down that road of slowly growing your business and pivoting when you need to.
Yeah, and like for sure to add on to that, like between our previous company and our current company, just actually flipping and actually building, we've done over around 120 deals. In my management company, like she did with someone else, she did like 15. I did like 30 flips for rental properties. So we've done, over 150 deals where now today, fast forward, it's like, okay, we have all that experience. We have the ability, we have the team, we have the structure, the financing, that, all those things. Now it's like, okay, we can kind of do what we want. But rewind back to the beginning, it was like, no, we're doing a basic, boring flip, like very simple. Then in year 2, okay, we'll do a small addition project where we're going to add maybe 200 square feet to create a master bathroom. Then towards the end of year 2 into year 3, we're like, okay, let's do a larger addition. Let's take a 2-1 to a 2-bedroom 1-bath to a 3-bedroom 2-bath. And then, okay, now let's partner with someone and do a new build so we can learn from that.
Right.
Then we're doing large additions where we're taking a 1,500 square foot house up to 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. And then now, boom, we're on our own. Okay, now we have all that experience. Let's jump into a new build with the team that we created and all the people that we met along the way. So that's kind of how our progression went. Into year probably 4 to 5 is when we finally got into doing actually a spec home without partnering with somebody or doing it, with someone else.
Right. Over 12 years, that's just a normal, that's growth, right? It's good that people hear that, because a lot of times they get started and all of a sudden, if they're not making $1 million tomorrow, they get disgruntled and they want to change or quit or whatever. But just,
and I think it's important for people to know too, that every single day there's challenges. So you have to be able to be open to learning. And like, we're doing this land development deal right now. We haven't done this on as big of a project before. So I think we're all learning things, but it's like just important to move forward and just be a problem solver, not just, oh, what am I gonna do with this? I don't know how to do this. Oh, I'm gonna give up. No, like there's so many resources out there. There's so many ways to figure it out if you are willing to, again, put in the work to get a little bit uncomfortable and kind of look like the person that doesn't know what they're talking about in the room. Like you're going to have to be in that position a lot of times when you are getting better at whatever it is you're doing in your business, the next step.
Within the past week, I sent an email to somebody and said, hey, I have no idea what this is, what we need to do here. Guide me. Within the past 7 days, 12 years into this business, I'm like, hey, help. I don't know what to do next. What do we do?
And what is the result of that email?
He told me to kick. No, I'm kidding. He was like, oh, here's the next steps. And he just gave me a list of stuff. Here's how we do it. Here's what's next. Okay, then here's a list. Okay, now my next question is, okay, who does 1? Who does 2? Who does 3? Who do we need to start, checking things off the list to get stuff rolling?
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So what would you say over this growth over the 12 years, what were you to say maybe some struggles were? Have you ever lost money on a deal?
Yeah. Yes.
So
I've lost a couple college educations.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Right. So
that was my
if you were sharing with this with someone that was just getting started, maybe a year in, they're doing a couple deals, doing some boring flips, and they're thinking about maybe doing a little bit more, what would you say some struggles that you've had that could help somebody else?
Just take a calculated risk, right? So when we were ready to take that next step, it was when we had some income or we had a little bit of a savings, right? We were able to, hey, if this loses money, I can write the check to cover it. So it's overanalyzed. When we went from the first couple of deals that had lost money, it was a crazy driveway. We probably should have installed an elevator in the house, like crazy things like that. We, went into a high-end neighborhood where we didn't, in my opinion, do good enough job researching the comps and realizing that all the sales had let's say a half-acre backyard, where ours had a less than a quarter of acre backyard. So all the comps said, hey, we should have had a bigger backyard. Had I looked at that a little better, like, okay, then we would have adjusted our purchase price to adjust for the lower sales price, those kind of things. The next time we lost money, it was on an addition project. We thought there was a niche. It wasn't there yet. So we went, oh, we're taking these 2 1s to create 3-bedroom, 2 baths, because it was in a market where there wasn't those houses, but there was desire for more bedrooms. So we kind of set the market.
And then it took off.
So we lost money we lost probably, I think, 40 grand on one, broke even on one, and then made like 80,000 on the next one. So I was like, okay, cool. It's a net wash of a positive 30 grand. It's a lot of work to make 30 grand, but if you have to look at things sometimes in a bigger picture.
Right.
And I think when you first start, again, everybody's in different stages, but when you first start, you don't want to take that big, huge risk, because you don't, like, sometimes if you've done a couple solid deals, you'll have a little cushion saved. So you're like, okay, let's just say I have, $80,000 saved in our business account. Well, this deal I know we'll break even at this number, but we could push it and make 40 grand, but you don't want to you probably don't want to do that on your first few deals.
Right.
Real quick on what you said, that's a huge point. And one thing that I've always looked at from like our very first deal is, okay, yes, we think it's going to sell for this, but where do we break even? What's my, like at month 4?
We still do that with our builds.
Still
We
today.
still today do that with these big builds that are like millions of dollars in investments. We still, when we build them, when we buy them, we're like, okay, let's say our break even is 2 million, but we could get here. That, that gives you a cushion, but at least you can make a calculated risk of, we know we can get this for this build. Right. So that would be like, we're getting out of it. We're not going to lose money, but we have this calculated risk of making a good return. Yeah.
That's anything from a basic boring flip to a spec home new build. We look at like, okay, worst case scenario, it takes 6 months longer. So on like a flip, you look at it, oh, it takes 3 months longer than planned. So you're calculating your holding costs and everything and say, okay, if I sell it for this, that's my break even. So I know when I just need to unload it and cut and run, I know where that point is. And then I'll fast forward to a flip, or to a build. Oh, it took 12 months longer than planned. Like adjusting those numbers and doing those calculations to make sure that you're covered when stuff goes wrong. Oh, it was 12 months longer. It went, X dollar amount over budget. Here's what our break even is, to be safe.
I think that's awesome, man. Now, you said you had two boys, right? I know your boys, and everybody else doesn't know your boys. Let's talk a little bit about the whole family dynamic, right? What is it like working husband and wife? You guys have a family-owned business. We have a family-owned business as well. My sister and I love each other to death. We have a great relationship. Every once in a while, we'll knock heads a little bit, but it makes us better. What's it like building a business from ground up? Husband and wife, best friend is your right hand, and then throw some kids in the mix.
Roller coaster. I mean, if I'm going to put one word on it, I'm going to put roller coaster, and that is at all levels. Like even from her and I to, he's not here, but my right hand man Kevin, to Christy and Kevin, like it's all up. You have ups and downs, but you have to have that structure, and then throw on the kids in the mix. We have a 15-year-old and a 11-year-old, almost 12, and they're full speed ahead. We're hitting puberty and testosterone, and two boys button heads. Dad and son button heads, son and mom, hurting feelings, those kind of things. It's, I would say none of it's easy.
No,
there's no easy.
But no, I feel like
button.
it's important to say, because I feel like a lot of people get caught up in talking about how their own personal life is so busy and chaotic. Everybody's life is busy and chaotic. It's just a matter of when you're self-employed, you have to be disciplined enough. Like, I'll have a friend or my sister reach out to me and like, hey, do you want to go to lunch today? Some days I have absolutely nothing going on. I'm like, yeah, I got a free day. I'm going to go have some fun. But then like, you have to be okay missing out on those things sometimes when you have a business like this, and have to be able to say, no, I need to reel it in. I have to be disciplined so that I'm not completely overwhelmed in 2 days when I have gotten absolutely nothing done.
Yeah.
I think, it is hard with kids because they don't really understand younger years. They don't understand that when you're home, you're still working. Like, yeah, I'm able to pick you up from school every day. I'm able to take you to school every day, which has been huge for me. I have loved that. And like our older son is going to be driving soon. I'm going to miss that. But like, that's just been an important thing to me. And I think there's layers of success. Like, financially, does that matter? Yeah, that matters. Obviously, we're all here to make money and build something that's bigger than us. But I also think that having the freedom to be home with my kids when I can cut it off for an hour or two and be with them when they get home from school, that's a huge, my ideal of success lays a lot on that.
You guys are more about freedom.
Absolutely, yeah, and like you said, being able to take the time to do those things. And
like our older son always calls us when like his friends don't have a ride somewhere. So I was like, hey, can we give them a ride? Can we give them a ride? Can we give them a ride? I love that we can do that, even though it means that night we might be up till 10, 11 o'clock working. I want to be the mom that like is taking all the kids everywhere, because I don't have to clock in all day long.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you were given advice to another husband and wife coming to the event to hear you speak, Josh, they're just getting started in the business, husband and wife, what would you tell these two?
I would say communication is key. Okay. Over communicate. We met in high school and we were fortunate enough to grow together over these years. Not everyone is able to do that, but I feel like a big part of that has been communication. I'm not the greatest at it, and I know that, so I try to be better every day. And obviously honesty, but like just being open and honest and being flexible to about what's going on, and being able to support each other, because there's times when because Christy is in our business, she has her own business, so she's stressed out about what stuff that's going on. So maybe I have to step up that day and I have to do some laundry, I have to do some dishes, I have to go get Colt from school because she can't go get him, and just being flexible and able to work with each other, instead of being stubborn and butting heads and saying, oh well, I'm busy too, it's okay, we'll figure it out. Maybe I take an hour out of my day when I have a busy day and say, okay, I can put that off until tonight, or maybe even tomorrow morning. I come in early and get something done in the morning when, you know, she's able to stay home and take care of the kids and get them off to school first thing in the morning, and I can go to the office and just kind of shut down for 3 hours and just dive into work.
It is hard. I mean, it is hard. Like you want to, what I would love to say that we don't do well is like being able to shut it off, you know, at some point in the day and not talk about business and, you know, just not have that in your life. That for us is not reality. And that's okay. That it really is okay. It has become a lot of our life is our businesses. So it's okay. I feel like I used to struggle with that because I had this expectation of like, no, we need like us time where we don't talk about this. But like, you talk about life. Like this is our life.
This is life.
So like you can't just check it at the door. Like if that is your ideal, you might not be cut out for this kind of business.
Like-
you might need a 9 to 5. And I am 100% on the I 100% believe that there is a job for everybody, and this is not for everybody. And I can be transparent in saying, if I wasn't with Josh, I don't think that I could handle this business because I get so.
You know, you
He's so sweet.
you know you wouldn't do this if I wasn't.
I would try, but I don't think I would give it a college try. But it is stressful. So I just, you know, it probably wouldn't be for me if I wasn't married to him.
And that's all right. You know,
Yeah, it's fine.
Like, so real estate is such a part of our lives. So Christy's fortunate enough to get a listing down in Pasadena. So I was like, hey, well, I'll just go with you and we'll turn it into a little trip for you and I. So we go down there. Day one is work, into day two, still working in the morning. And then, you know, we were able to have some fun time. But literally one of the days we just drove around and looked at real estate. Like we were like driving around neighborhoods, like, man, these houses are amazing. Look at the architecture on this and look at this. Oh, that'd be cool in one of our builds. Like it is our life.
Yeah.
Like even though like we're on a vacation trying to get away, we're still like we ended up still looking at real estate. So it's just, I mean, to go back to answer your question about, you know, what would I tell a couple is that be ready for the ups and downs and be ready to talk about it and work through those up and downs, because it's never going to be smooth. It's never going to be perfect. It's just being able to open up and work through those things.
That's awesome, man. I think that's really good advice because, yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes it's hard to, it's damn near impossible to shut it off, right? It just becomes a normal. I mean, I don't know how many times you and I talk on the phone and we still talk real estate. It just becomes the thing. It's not that if people get offended by it, you're right. I think that's a good way of putting that is there's a job for everybody.
Yeah.
But when your job is to play a real life game of Monopoly, you know, Monopoly, the games are fun to play, right?
Yeah.
It's
It
awesome.
is fun.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I appreciate you guys coming on and doing this. I think there's a lot of valuable lessons just from hearing from, you know, people like you and of your success and over the past 12 years, what you've created. And I think it's cool that you don't have to miss any kids game. That's the big thing. We're a lot alike on that, Josh. Is I never missed a football game, baseball game, boxing match, nothing the whole time Keith was growing up. And the fact that you're able to do that, I know you know how valuable it is now, but when your kids are 25 and pushing 30, it'll be even double valuable then, right? Because then they don't really realize it until they're pushing 30. But when they look back and say, hey, man, you know what I mean? You know, a lot of people don't get that. A lot of kids don't have their parents in the stands every game, every day. And just the fact that you're able to do that, I think it's awesome, and it's going to pay dividends to you down the road that when they really realize how important that is. So I think that's cool, man. And being able to share that with other people is pretty significant. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Where can people check out your jobs and your bids, your flips and all the stuff you guys do? Social media, where you at?
Yeah, social media, Facebook and Instagram are our two biggest. Our website is norcalhomesllc.com. It's NorCal Homes LLC or NorCal Homes and Development on Instagram, and then same thing, NorCal Homes and Development on Facebook.
With the and symbol,
With the and symbol. Yeah.
not the
I think
and.
no, actually on Instagram it is spelled out.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me do the
I
symbol.
stand corrected.
But yeah,
Again.
NorCal Homes and Development. Yeah, check us out. Follow along. I'm trying to be better about posting some progress stuff, and as there's going to be some cool stuff coming up with the development ones that we got going on. We're having a guy film a lot of the progress, so it'd be kind of cool to see those along the way too.
we're kind of in a spot where it's like just planning, so it's kind of boring. But it is what it is.
All right, it's all part of it. It's gonna make money, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking the time. I appreciate it, and we'll do it again here in the future, and we'll get some. Maybe we'll do something live on site or something when you get some of these things coming out of the ground. And I'll tell you, if you haven't taken a look, what's the name of that project that people can go check out? My favorite one that you're doing right now with the view.
It's Ashley Creek. So that one is 3410 Ashley Creek Way. It's in Ashley Creek Drive, sorry, 3410 Ashley Creek Drive. It's in Loomis, California, 95650 is the zip code. It's on all the, real estate sites. It's also on our website, but yeah, that one it's pretty amazing. It's special for sure.
I've seen a lot of deals that Josh and Christy have done over the years, and this thing here, when he was talking about cutting in the side of a mountain, and then I admire it. I have no idea how they did or what, but they literally cut out side of a mountain and made a beautiful house overlooking all of downtown Sacramento. So if you want to check out some pretty cool stuff, check that house out right out of the gate, and you'll see what these guys produce. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for listening to the podcast, guys, and we'll do it again. Talk to you soon.